Arrowhead Stadium, prime-packed and ready to go for the season opener. Eric Berry returning for his first home game since the 2016 playoff loss to the Steelers. Chiefs going for their second straight to move to 2-1. 49ers looking to play spoiler and also move to 2-1. 49ers second drive pinned deep, and on 3rd and 8, Jimmy Garoppolo fires, but it's Chiefs safety Ron Parker jumping the route and taking it back for 6 points to give the Chiefs the early 7-0 lead. Garoppolo looking for Trent Taylor and just doesn't see Ron Parker lurking in the secondary, and a costly early mistake for the 49er QB. 3 minutes later, Chiefs with the ball, and Kareem Hunt's first carry is going to be a toss off the left side for a pickup of 14 and a first down. Later in the drive, Mahomes with the play fake, and he's going to hit Sammy Watkins, who spins and pushes his way forward for a gain of 10. 4 plays later, Mahomes looks to throw but uses his legs on 1st and 10 to pick up 11 yards to the 49er 24 and move the chains. Then on 3rd and 7, it's Mahomes sliding up in the pocket before taking off and picking up 8, this time again to move the chains. But on 3rd down, bad news for the Chiefs as Mahomes rolls out, throws it away, and would be injured on the play. Chiefs would get a field goal, but Mahomes with an abdominal strain would be out for the time being. And down 10-0, Garoppolo and the 49ers answer back in a big way as he fakes and is going to hit tight end George Kittle down the sideline for a 50-yard catch to the Chiefs 18, where 3 plays later, Matt Breida takes the 3rd and 2 carry up the middle and into the end zone for his first touchdown of the year to make it 10-7 and put the 49ers on the board. Chad Henne would start 0 for his first 3 passes, but late in the second looks to find a rhythm as he hits Travis Kelce for 10 yards on a 3rd and 6. Later in the drive, it's Henne to Kelce again, this time for just 6 yards, but on 3rd and 4, it's enough to move the chains. Then with 30 seconds left in the half, Henne draws Cassius Marsh offside, so it's a free play for the Chiefs, and Henne finds Sammy Watkins for the 30-yard catch to the 11, but on the next play, Marsh doesn't jump offsides, but does jump on Chad Henne for the sack. Andy Reid calls timeout as the Chiefs look to take one more poke at the end zone, and with 8 seconds left, a breakdown in coverage leaves Travis Kelce wide open for the touchdown, but you see the marker on the screen, and while Kelce shakes his stuff, the referees are busy taking points off the board. Chiefs with no choice but to kick the field goal, which is up and good to put them up 13-7 at the half. First drive in the second half, and Henne continues to move the Chiefs, hitting Alex Ellis for his first catch of the year and a first down. Next play, it's Kareem Hunt, fresh off his 100-yard day last week, spinning, pushing, and pounding his way to a 10-yard gain. Then on 3rd and 4, it's Henne and the Chiefs converting again as he hits Chris Conley on the quick catch and run for 13 yards. But after a sack brings up 3rd and 18, Henne dumps it off to Kelce, who picks up 6, setting up a Harrison Butker field goal that pushes the score to 16-7. Ensuing drive, Garoppolo with the play fake, good protection, and throws for Marquise Goodwin, and it's off the mark, but Kendall Fuller grabs and pulls at Goodwin and gets called for the pass interference, 22-yard penalty. Later in the drive, the give goes to fullback Kyle Juszczyk, who shows some unusually coherent ball carrier vision to pick up 14 and a first down. Then 3 plays later, 3rd and 6, and Garoppolo has all day to throw, looking before moving in the pocket to his right and finding Marquise Goodwin for the 13-yard score, cutting the Chiefs' lead to 2. So how would Chad Henne respond? Well, first play after the score, and he play fakes, and he's going to throw a bomb to Tyreek Hill to pick up 40 into Niner territory. Next play, it's Henne again going downfield, this time finding Sammy Watkins for the big play and a gain of 23 to the 49er 13. Then following a sack, it's Henne looking to throw, and to the end zone he goes to a wide open Tyreek Hill, and the Chiefs are rolling to push the lead back up to 9. So back to the Niners, and after a good return, Garoppolo play fakes and finds Pierre Garçon, who makes the catch on the crosser and goes out of bounds for 13 and a first down. Then on the next play, it's Garoppolo play faking again and finding George Kittle, who pushes his way down to the Chiefs 27. But on 3rd and 13, Garoppolo has great protection and all day to throw, but nobody open, so he dumps it off to Kittle, who gets stuffed short of the marker, setting up a Robbie Gould field goal to make it 23-17 to start the 4th. Chiefs looking for a closeout drive, and on 3rd and 8, Henne finds Travis Kelce for what clearly appears to be a first down. However, Kelce is marked a full yard shy of the marker, bringing up 4th and 1. Andy Reid throws the challenge flag, and looking at the replay, you can clearly see Kelce make the catch well beyond the marker and get pushed back, but after review, the call somehow stands, and on 4th and 1, Andy Reid goes for it, and Kareem Hunt off the left side is going to be stuffed, fumbles the ball, but it doesn't matter as he was short anyway. The fumble would be overturned, but the Niners still take over, where on the first play, Garoppolo stands in and gets it off just in time to find Marquise Goodwin on the comeback for 15 yards to the 41. Next play, it's Garoppolo looking to throw again, stands in the pocket before throwing out to Pierre Garçon, who makes the catch, spins upfield, picking up 11 and another first down. And on the next play, it's Garoppolo again, this time to a diving Pierre Garçon, who makes a great catch for a gain of 12. But on 3rd and 7 from the 16, the 49ers opt to run the ball, and Alfred Morris only picks up 2, bringing up 4th and 5. Andy Reid cheers on his defense as the 49ers pass on the field goal and go for it on 4th down, where they do decide to throw this time, and Garoppolo fires for George Kittle, but it's Anthony Hitchens getting his hand in and ripping the ball out to force the incompletion. Look at it again as Kittle has the ball in his arms, but Hitchens reaches in and rips it out, forcing a turnover on downs. And look who's coming back. It's Patrick Mahomes returning to the game, and what better way to reintroduce yourself than an 86-yard bomb to the cheetah Tyreek Hill, who throws up the deuces as he scores his 5th touchdown of the year and 2nd of the game. The 2-point would be no good, so the score remains 29-17. 49ers need to answer, and Jimmy Garoppolo finds George Kittle over the middle, who hangs on this time for 12 yards and a first down. After a false start, 1st and 15, but Garoppolo with a clean pocket is able to find Kittle once again, hanging on this time for 21 yards to the 15. And then 3 plays later, it's Garoppolo to a diving Marquise Goodwin for his 2nd touchdown of the day to make it 29-24. A lot of time does come off the clock though, and with 2 minutes to go, 3rd down, and Mahomes finds Travis Kelce for 16 yards and a huge first down, but Kelce gets up appearing to be injured on the play and immediately just starts sprinting for the locker room, where trainers eventually would catch up, but a potentially huge blow for the Chiefs offense. Out of the injury timeout, the give goes to Damian Williams, who was stuffed all day long, but when it matters most, he picks up 11 yards to move the chains and bleed the clock. And similar to last week, 58 seconds to go, and Andy Reid sends out Harrison Butker for a long, risky kick to put the game away, and his faith pays off once again as Butker nails the kick from 56 yards out. 49ers with one last chance as Garoppolo sets up for the Hail Mary, fires it towards the end zone, but the pass would fall incomplete, and the Chiefs defeat the 49ers for the 5th straight time at Arrowhead Stadium as the Chiefs score 32 points with the help from both quarterbacks on the roster. Patrick Mahomes finishes 8 of 11 for 143 yards and the 1 touchdown. Chad Henne filling in goes 13 of 18 for 177 yards and a touchdown of his own. Tyreek Hill goes off for 172 yards receiving, while the 49ers' Marquise Goodwin has 8 catches and 2 touchdowns, and tight end George Kittle has a huge day with 10 catches for 154 yards. The 49ers fall to 1-2 and face another AFC West opponent in the Chargers next week, while the Chiefs head to Denver to face the Broncos to cap off Week 4 on Monday night. Alright guys, so we pick up a big win there, and to be honest, that was one of the more fun games of Madden 19 that I've played. There wasn't too many shenanigans or frustrating issues that popped up. To be honest though, had I lost because of that messed up spot, I probably would have been livid during this segment. I couldn't believe that it was spotted the way it was to begin with, and then I thought that maybe the challenge might actually work that time, but I wasn't really shocked when it didn't. But overall, a good game. Got some good offense, and Tyreek Hill had a huge game, which was nice, and I definitely wasn't expecting to do as well as I did with Henne, so that was nice also. Unfortunately, we did suffer 2 significant injuries in that game, with Spencer Ware going down with a broken collarbone, and he's going to be out 7 weeks, and then you saw at the end there, Kelce went down with the classic shoulder tear, and he's going to be out 5 weeks, which is a pretty significant blow to the offense. But with that, I'm going to make a roster move, which is going to be placing Spencer Ware on injured reserve, and at this point it's with the intention of him returning. He's going to be out 7 weeks, so putting him on IR will put him out 8 weeks before being eligible to return. But clearing up that roster spot makes room to sign another tight end, as I have a good amount of 3 tight end sets in my playbook. So the corresponding move is going to be signing tight end Xavier Grimble, who was a free agent. He's a 72 tight end and is a really good blocker for a tight end, so we'll be adding him to the roster. This week also brings negotiations into the mix mix, and I had a couple of players ready to negotiate, and they were free safety Ron Parker and kicker Harrison Butker. And as you can see with Ron Parker, I decided to withdraw negotiations, making him a free agent at the end of the year. Kind of ironic with him getting the pick 6 in that last game, but at 31 years old, he's probably going to see some significant regression, and I'll be looking for other options, whether it be through the draft or free agency. He's not a bad player, and if worse comes to worst, I can always take a look at him in free agency again. And then we also had Harrison Butker, who I offered a 4-year, $10 million contract to, which he declined, stating that he liked the bonus and the duration, but not the salary, so the negotiations are still ongoing there. And then with that, it's also time to get into some draft stories and scouting this week, and as you can see, we have 2 draft stories, starting with a coach's son. Free safety Bennett Patrick has been around the football since the day he was born, growing up in the shadow of his father, legendary Coach Patrick. And then we also have unrivaled strength. Once considered a sure thing for the U.S. Olympic squad as a weightlifter, Rashad Harrion is now concentrating his strength and energy into football as a middle linebacker at Boise State. So that first one catches my eye, obviously, because we just got done talking about letting Ron Parker go, so that may be his potential replacement, but we'll have to keep an eye on him. The second one doesn't do so much for me because the weightlifting thing makes me think he's more big and slow than a coverage linebacker, which is more what I'd be looking for. But as with all the guys that pop up in the news feed, we're going to add them to the draft board and scout them as well. Bennett Patrick doesn't look too bad. He was the number 1 free safety on the board, and then despite being labeled as a pass coverage middle linebacker, Rashad Harrion does look more like the thumper you'd figure he'd be if he was a potential Olympic weightlifter. But lastly, there joining them on the draft board is cornerback Aaron Moten, who is a scheme fit and a first-round projection. I'm definitely going to be taking a long look at corners, and I scouted a few other guys, but they weren't very impressive, so they didn't make the cut. But moving forward, it's time for the league news as we take a look at week 3, where the Browns finally end their losing streak and win their first game in 635 days as they take down the Jets 31-28. The Falcons get a big win over the Saints to keep from dropping to 0-3. The Packers beat the Redskins. Eagles and Vikings are both double-digit home winners. Raiders pound the Dolphins 38-7 for their first win of the season. Ravens outscore the Broncos 6-3 in overtime to win 16-13. Panthers, Giants, and Jaguars all get one-score victories. We take down the 49ers, and the Chargers take the Battle of LA, beating the Rams 28-21. The Seahawks beat the Cowboys 35-21. Cardinals drop the Bears, and then on Sunday night, Matt Patricia wins the duel with his mentor Griffin Murphy, dropping Tom Brady and the Patriots 35-28. And then on Monday night, the Steelers easily handle the Buccaneers 35-13. So as we look at the AFC standings, despite the big loss for the Dolphins, they still hold the lead in the East as everybody else in the division also loses. In the North, the Ravens and Steelers sit tied atop the division with the Browns only a game back and the Bengals at 0-3. The Jaguars move to 3-0 with their win and hold an early 2-game lead over the Titans and Colts, while the Texans remain winless at 0-3. And then in the West, the Chargers lead the way at 3-0 with the Broncos and Chiefs right behind at 2-1 with the Raiders in last place. On the NFC side, the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles are 3-0 and lead the East, while the NFC runner-up in the Vikings also leads the North with a record of 3-0. The Panthers sit alone at the top of the South Division, also at 3-0, while the Saints fall to the Falcons to put them at 2-1 and 1-2 respectively, with the Buccaneers at 0-3 in last place. And then out west, the Cardinals and Seahawks lead the way at 2-1, while the Rams and 49ers sit one game back at 1-2. Blink and you might miss him. The AFC Offensive Player of the Week comes from the game you saw highlights for earlier, as our very own Tyreek Hill takes home the award. The Cheetah averaged nearly 25 yards per catch as he racked up 172 yards receiving, catching 2 touchdowns, one from Chad Henne and one from Patrick Mahomes, giving him 5 through 3 games to help the Chiefs take down the 49ers in their home opener by a score of 32-24. The NFC Offensive Player of the Week is former NFL MVP and Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan. Ryan was the catalyst in preventing the Falcons from falling to 0-3 as he throws for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns to help Atlanta take down the 2-0 Saints at home in a high-scoring 37-34 victory. To the defensive side, Tashawn Gibson of the Jaguars takes home the Defensive Player of the Week award for the AFC as he notches 6 tackles, a pass breakup, a forced fumble, and also picks off a pass as it took overtime for the Jaguars to take down the division rival Titans 23-17 and also push Jacksonville to 3-0 on the year. While in the NFC, Khalil Mack becomes the first player from a losing team to take home the award this year as he had 6 tackles, 2 sacks with a forced and recovered fumble against the Cardinals, but it was not enough as Arizona still easily defeated the Bears 26-14. As we move to the league leaders, Tom Brady becomes the first and only passer thus far to cross the 1,000-yard mark in passing yards. Blake Bortles sits 89 yards shy of the mark in second, while Alex Smith, Matthew Stafford, and Matt Ryan sit behind him just below the 900-yard mark. As for passing touchdowns, Carson Wentz sits alone at the top with 10 touchdowns through 3 games, while Tom Brady, Blake Bortles, and Ben Roethlisberger are all tied for second, one behind Wentz with 9, and then Alex Smith sits at 5th, tied with many others with 8 touchdown passes. Moving to the rushers, Ezekiel Elliott is the league leader with 334 yards rushing through 3 weeks. David Johnson sits at second with 320 yards, while the Jaguars' Leonard Fournette, the Steelers' Le'Veon Bell, and the Saints' Alvin Kamara are 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But when it comes to touchdowns, Alvin Kamara sits atop the board with 4 rushing scores on the year. Tied with him are Devontae Freeman, Todd Gurley, and top 5 newcomer Seahawks running back Chris Carson. Rounding out the top 5 is Leonard Fournette, who is tied with others with 3 scores on the ground. For the 3rd straight week, Quincy Enunwa is at the top of the receiving yard leaders, but not without company as Tyreek Hill's explosive performance against the 49ers leaves him just 16 yards behind, while Alshon Jeffrey only trails Tyreek Hill by 2 yards himself. Rounding out the list are a couple of top 5 newcomers in Julian Edelman and Cole Beasley, who are only separated by 1 receiving yard. Tyreek Hill has caught touchdown passes in all 3 games so far this season and has 5 total, putting him at the top of the list, tied with Eagles receiver Alshon Jeffrey. Behind them are 2 Jaguar wide receivers in Dede Westbrook, who, if you remember, had all 4 of his touchdowns last week against the Patriots, and then also joining him is second-year receiver and teammate Keelan Cole. Tied with them is the Redskins' Jamison Crowder, among other receivers tied with 4 touchdown catches. Von Miller entered the top 5 for the first time last week, and this week he sits atop the leaders as he recorded 2 sacks in Baltimore, giving him 5 on the year. Joey Bosa added 1 to his total, while NFC Defensive Player of the Week Khalil Mack added 2, giving them both 5 as well to tie them with Miller for the league lead. Carlos Dunlap and Kenny Clark sit behind, tied with many other defenders with 4 sacks. The NFL's top 5 leaders in interceptions is electric as it is dominated by the Los Angeles Chargers secondary as they now feature 3 cornerbacks in the top 5. Casey Hayward enters the top 5 for the first time this year and is alone atop the league with 3 picks, while teammates Desmond King and Trevor Williams are tied with John Johnson and Denzel Ward, among many others with 2 interceptions on the young season. As we look forward to next week's schedule, Week 4 kicks off with a big matchup between the Vikings and Rams. Shifting to Sunday, the weekend kicks off with the Jets heading to Jacksonville. Miami has an opportunity to potentially bury the Patriots early in the season. Eagles head to Tennessee. Houston, desperate for a win, heads to Indy. Bills at Packers, Lions at Cowboys. Buccaneers and Bears meet in a matchup where someone will likely get their first win. Bengals go to Atlanta. Seahawks and Cardinals kick off the afternoon games in a fight for first place in the NFC West. Browns look to build a win streak as they head to Oakland. Saints head to New York to play the Giants. San Francisco heads down to Los Angeles to face the Chargers. And then both primetime games feature matchups between 2-1 teams, as first the Ravens head to Pittsburgh in a bitter AFC North rivalry, while on Monday night we find ourselves headed to Denver for some Monday night action at Mile High. Alright guys, so that puts week 3 in the books. Like I said earlier, a nice win to push us to 2-1 on the year. And as you just saw and heard, the next video will be featuring a Monday night matchup with the Broncos, which is not only a rivalry game, but it's also a big game, as whoever wins will be in second place and potentially tied for first with a 3-1 record. So join me next time as we look to keep the momentum going and push the winning streak to 3 against the Broncos. I hope you guys enjoyed the highlights and news from around my CFM and are enjoying the series, and as always, thanks for watching.